Hi and welcome to this 46th live tech Q&A session. And here I'll be answering some of your tech related questions. You can post your questions in the YouTube comments below and I'll take them up. And my angle will look a little bit different, placing my webcam in a different angle. So let's start this. And again, I got the first question was posted by Kamesh Kotwani. And here he goes. Good evening, sir. Thank you, Kamesh. So what is the difference between firmware update and software update? Are they both the same or they have different perspectives? Again, it's a little bit different, I would say. Software update can be a minor update, like for example, it can be just an update for a specific application or software if it's on your, what do you say, computer. But generally a firmware upgrade generally updates the driver levels, etc. on basically on a computer that's a PC. It might even update your BIOS, etc. stuff like that. So it's a little bit different on a, what do you say, PC, or on if you take smartphones into account. But yes, these terms are interchangeable. They are using it, but it's actually a little bit different. Firmware updates are technically a little bit different compared to software updates. Second question, he says, what are your impressions on Windows Phone 8.1? Would you recommend Windows Phone to our audience now, as it's more advanced and fully customizable and even beats Android in some places? Kamesh, yes, the Windows Phone 8.1 is a huge improvement over Windows Phone 8, but definitely still it's not as customizable and as flexible as Android still yet. As you can see in the home screens, you don't, you just get this style interface. You can't have widgets, etc. That is possible with Android, but apart from some of the advanced customization that is possible on Android, if now I would say Windows 8.1 is pretty good. And if you like the Windows 8.1 interface, definitely you can check out Windows 8.1. But again, if you like to customize things a lot, then still Android is still the way to go. It does allow you to customize everything from the home screen, the keyboards, to the entire layout, launchers, etc. So again, you got to decide what do you like, Android or Windows 8.1. If you like Windows 8.1, go with it. It is a huge improvement over Windows 8.1. So let's move to the next question. Uh, this is by Satwik Khare. He goes something like, this is a very peculiar question. Hi Ranjit sir, I recently came across an article stating that Moore's law will be dead by 2020. That is, after 8 or 9 years, transistors on the chip will be so densely packed that they'll reach 7 nanometer node, and after that we cannot pack more transistors on the chip. Does it mean our evolution of computing power will come to a halt forever, or quantum computing is introduced and that will evolve? Yes, Satvik, yes, the chip size is going down. Currently, we are at 20 nanometer. Intel is going to release the next new chips that will be based on the 14 nanometer. The next Broadwell, that is going to be introduced by late 2014 to 2015. The Broadwell chips will be based on the 14 nanometer. And yes, they are going smaller and smaller. And you are correct. At the 7 nanometer level or something like that, it will become so small that the leakage will be so much that they can't reduce. But as technology has evolved, I don't think so that will stop the way of the processors are enhanced and computing power. We will simply move to something else, like as you have said, quantum computing is one thing. It's in infancy right now, but I think so that will evolve. And also what I think so will happen is, as we are seeing these we'll have a lot more multi-core processors. For example, these days it's common to have 4-core or even 6-core processor. It will simply evolve. We might have 8-core processors, 16-core processor, that will be the norm, and specialized processor for specific tasks. So yes, this won't mean that the development of processors will stop, but it might just go in some other way. I hope that answers your question. Next question is by this is by Sohail Sardar, uh, and he has a couple of questions. So let's get. My cousin wants to buy an Android phone for rupees 28,000. His main requirement is camera and battery life, and he does not like Samsung. So which one he should go for? This is very interesting. He doesn't like Samsung, but Samsung has pretty good cameras. And I would have said Nexus 7, but again, the Nexus 7 camera is not that great. You can, and he wants an Android phone. If it wasn't an Android phone, I would have told him to check out the Lumia 925. But on Android, you can check out the LG G Pro. The last generation that is selling for around 27,000. It has a pretty decent camera, and the battery life on that, it's a phablet, is very good. So you can check that out, and it's made by LG. What is the difference between, and this is regarding cameras, SLR and DSLR. SLRs are just those big cameras that you see, single reflex lens. It has a lens, but on a DSLR, what they have done is, with SLR, we generally have a film. These days, we don't see a lot of film cameras, but they have a physical film. With the DSLR, what they have done is, instead of having that physical film, it's now digital. So it's the same thing. Even a DSLR has a, what do you say, a lens, but now it's captured by digitally, the image, that is your JPEG, RAW, whatever. That's why it's known as a DSLR. And he's talking about Tizen. I just don't want to talk right now about Tizen. Yes, it's an OS by Samsung is leading, and even we saw some watches, for example, Gear, and some smartphones are going to launch by Tizen. But I just don't want to comment yet about Tizen because I haven't handled any of the Tizen devices physically as of now. So let's move to the next question. This is by Sandeep Singh, and some of you can answer me. It's a, what do you say, laptop related questions. I don't review a lot of laptops, so I can't give him an idea, but some of you can give, obviously. So let me just phrase the question. It's by Sandeep Singh, and he goes, good evening, Ranjit sir. I'm planning to buy a gaming laptop. He says Lenovo Y510P. So do you think the specs below are good for hardcore gaming? Okay, let's see what are the specs. It has a 4th generation i7 quad-core processor that's clocked at 2.4 gigahertz. That's good. It has the NVIDIA GT750 2GB DDR graphic card. I would say the 750M is a decent graphic card, but it's not a very powerful graphic card. It's if you talk about gaming laptop, it's kind of a mid-range graphic card. It's not on the higher end. 8GB RAM DDR3 is good. And he says that suggest me some good gaming laptops under rupees 80,000. So if you have any good gaming laptop suggestions under 80,000, give it to Sandeep. Sandeep, I haven't checked the pricing of Alienware gaming laptops, but you can have a look at that. They are specifically aimed at gaming, but I doubt it will be around 80,000. So just check up the pricing in India. What is it? So that's my suggestion. And again, guys, give Sandeep any suggestions if you have. This is by Manoj. Hello, sir. I'm a big fan of yours. Thank you, Manoj. How is the performance of Galaxy S5 and its price slashed to around 35,000 on Amazon? What is your opinion? How is this phone? I would say for the current price, the Samsung Galaxy S5, that is the Exynos version that we are getting in India. For the current price, I would say 35 to 36,000 around last I checked is a very good price. I would say the phone is overall pretty good. You can check out my review. I did an in-depth review of it. But again, like every other phone, it's not perfect. I would say in terms of camera, it's a huge improvement. And I would say it has one of the best cameras under Android. Yes, in low lighting conditions, it's not that great, the camera. But overall, it's a very good phone. Heating also, it does not heat up as much as the Galaxy S4, so that's okay, I would say. And in terms of battery life, it is very good actually. The battery life was great. So overall a decent phone, but again, it is not without its some of its flaws. Again, it's that plasticky look that not many people like. So check out my review. In there, I listed the pros and cons of this device, and certainly I would say at the current price of about 35 to 36,000, I think so it's an excellent buy. Do remember that when I reviewed the device, when I gave my opinion, it was hovering around 48 or 49,000. So I gave my opinion regarding that price, but certainly at this price, I would say it's an excellent buy. So the only con, again, Manoj, I want to say is that with the Galaxy S5 Exynos, as it's using the Exynos and it has that Mali 628 GPU, in some of the high-end games, it does tend to stutter. I have noticed that with this what do you say, Mali 6X series GPU, it even has happens with Note 3 sometimes, and it even happens with the Galaxy S5. So if you're a very hardcore gamer, then I would say you might not like it. Yes, it can play a lot of game, but sometimes I did notice a little bit of stutter. So that's my opinion of the Galaxy S5 Exynos version that is sold in India. I hope it helps you. So let me just move to the next question now. This is by Kaushal. We are getting a lot of PC related questions there today. It's interesting. I have two questions. What is the difference between server processor and PC processors? I would say server processors are these days, both of them are pretty powerful. But the thing with server processors are they're designed to run 24/7 even at peak loads, that is at 100% CPU loads. They are designed to work. And also with server boards, you have multiple processors. For example, you might have a server board that might have actually 2 or even 4 physical processors, but generally on the PC side we generally don't get that. We get a single socket these days generally. And also with the server grade processor, it has ECC RAM, which is kind of important for server grade stuff. Generally with the PC processors we just have normal RAM. So server processors are designed for applications or loads that are designed to run 24/7. So that's the big difference, I would say. And he also says, what are the cons of Moto G after the KitKat update? After the KitKat update, some of the people have noticed that on Moto G some cellular issues have propped up. But I've heard that the 4.4.3 update for Moto G, even our DualSense version, is going to come out by the end of this month, or hopefully by next month, early next month. So I hope that some of the niggling issues that we are having will be solved. So let's move to the next issue. This is by Ayush Jain. Good evening, sir. Have some questions. Is it worth buying the Lumia 630 over 525, considering that 525 will get Windows 8.1 update? Okay, he has some other questions also. Let's talk about it. I would say yes or no. The Lumia 630 is a decent phone. Yes, it has just 512 MB of RAM. But certainly in raw processing, I noticed that this phone is a little bit powerful compared to the 525, and also heats up a little bit less compared to the 525. The 525 has that great cores, and it generally is okay in normal operations, but when you stress it, it does get a little bit hot. This one also gets a bit warm, but not as hot as the 525. And in fact, all Windows Phone 8 will get the Windows 8.1 update. We're going to get it sometime next month. So decide what you want. And next question is Samsung Galaxy Grand 2 a good buy at 18,000? Yes, I would say it's a decent buy at 18,000. Now the price has reduced. In my review, I always said that it was around 25,000, and I said if you see my review at around 18,000, it's a good thing. I would say you can also have a look at LG L90. That's a little bit cheaper. That's around 15.5 to 16,000. But certainly the Grand 2 at 18K is a good buy. But one con I have with the Grand 2 is that in terms of camera performance, I noticed that the camera on the Grand 2, though the Grand 1 and even the Grand 2 both have 8 megapixel camera, the picture quality I was getting was much better on the Grand 1 compared to the Grand 2. So I don't know what Samsung did with the camera on the Grand 2, but the camera on that is not as great as the 8 megapixel camera found on the Grand 1. And this is by Ayush. Did you face any heating issues on iPhone 5s while gaming on 3G? I generally do not play a lot of games, Ayush, on my phones. The general gaming reviews that you see also on my channel, I just do it for you guys. I actually never play any games on my device. So I have used the iPhone 5s for about 45 days. And during that time, yes, sometimes outdoors it does get a little bit warm, but I wouldn't say it does get very hot like some other devices that I have tested. But again, I don't do a lot of gaming, so I can't comment about that. Dushyant Yadav, again a PC related question, getting a lot of PC related questions today. Hi Ranjit, good evening. Sir, why desktop is more powerful than laptops when both have same specifications? No, actually with the, mobile processors that are used in laptops, we generally don't have that powerful processors, and even the core count and the clock frequencies are lower on the laptop grade processors, because laptop grade processors are optimized for power usage scenario, and also they have stricter thermal controls. With the desktop, generally you don't have power issues, and also you can add external cooling. That's why you'll notice that the desktop processors are clocked a lot higher, and they are much more powerful compared to the laptop processors. Also, you'll notice that even some of the laptop processors that are based on the Core i7 architecture, some of them are just dual core, whereas most of the desktop range of processors, for example, if you take even the i5 and the Core i7, are mostly quad core processors. So definitely the desktop processors are more powerful compared to the laptop processors. This is by IM Sumant. Want to know how's Moto X better than Moto G, even though it has a dual core processor? I get this question a lot. I'm someone do understand that not all processors are equal. Like not all cars are equal. Though the Moto, G has a quad core processor, but it is based on a lower architecture that's not as fast as compared to the architecture that is used with the Moto X. Moto G is based on the Snapdragon 400 architect, that's based 400 chipset based on the ARM Cortex A7 architecture, which is kind of slow, I would say. But on the other hand, the Moto X, though it's a dual core processor, the first thing is it's clocked much higher compared to the Moto G. Moto Gs are clocked at 1.2 gigahertz. The Moto X is clocked at 1.7 gigahertz, but they are based on the Crate architecture, which is significantly faster compared to the ARM Cortex A7 architecture. Hence, though the Moto X has a dual core processor, it is much faster compared to the Moto G. It's like cars; you just can't compare one car to the other car. So there are differences, and definitely the Moto X processor is faster than the Moto G. But one con is that as the Moto X processor is based on the Crate architecture, though the Crate processor are pretty fast, they do generate a lot more heat. So in terms of heating, I did notice that the Moto X heats up a lot. I wouldn't say heating, I would say it gets a lot quick warmer compared to the Moto G. Second question he asked is, which is better for gaming, the Desire 816 or the Moto G? Technically speaking, I did not find any difference between the gaming performance between the Desire 816 or the Moto G, because underneath they are using the same processor and the same GPU. But I enjoyed the gaming on the Desire 816 a lot more compared to the Moto G, due to the fact that the Desire 816 has a larger screen, and apart from that, the biggest advantage the Desire 816 has for multimedia and gaming is that dual speakers. So it's a lot more immersive. I hope that answers your question. This is by Mr. Tutorial Guy. Sir, what are your impressions on the new Nokia X2? Are you going to review it? I'm not very sure if I'm going to review it or not. I didn't give it thought. The Nokia X2 is slight improvement over the Nokia X. It has a slightly larger screen. Now it has the original Nokia X had a 4-inch screen. This has a 4.3-inch screen. Also, the processor has been changed up a little bit. Now it's based on the Snapdragon 200 chipset, if I'm not wrong, and it's clocked at 1.2 gigahertz. And the biggest thing is the the Nokia X had just 512 MB of RAM. Now this Nokia X2 is going to have 1 GB of RAM. I don't know. It's been announced today. It was just announced today, but I don't know the pricing. So I would say the pricing will be a very important factor. And if Microsoft and Nokia can get the pricing right for the Nokia X2, I would say it will be a very good competitor to the Moto E. And also the Nokia X2 has a lot more improved camera compared to the Nokia X. So I hope that answers your question. This is by Vinayak. Hello, sir. Very good evening to you. I really appreciate your videos, sir. As we saw, some flagship phones like the Samsung Galaxy S5 and Xperia S2 are water resistant. So, can we see some upcoming mid-range phones between 15 to 20,000 to be water resistant? Yes, definitely, we will see that, but I don't think so it will happen this year. But by next year, we might see some of the mid-range devices also that have water resistant features. Generally, I see this trend. What we see on high-end phones 1 year, about roughly after 15 to 16 months, some of the features I do see them on the mid-range phones. So definitely by next year, we should see some mid-range phones that have that water-resistant features. This is by Partha. Hello, sir. I'm a big fan of sir. I have a question. Does Wi-Fi router affect our health? Is it safe? Uh, yes, it's pretty safe. I have been using Wi-Fi routers from, I don't know, from 2000 onwards. That B1 I had, the old one, and no issues. They are pretty safe. And actually, if you are worried about this radiation, then you should be a lot more worried about cell phones than the Wi-Fi routers. The cell phones and the cell towers emit a lot more radiation compared to our Wi-Fi routers. And he says, I want to buy a budget Wi-Fi router. My budget is around rupees 900. Please suggest me a router. I would suggest at that price point, check out the TP-Link N150 router. I think so that's around 850 or so. I've already done the review of that. And I felt that in that under 1000 rupees range, that is one of the better Wi-Fi routers. So let's move to the next question. This is by Siddharth Jara. I love your videos. Watch every single video of yours. Thank you, Siddharth. I'm thinking of buying the Moto E, but I heard it has very high SAR value. Should I go for it? Yes, the Moto E that is being sold in India is the dual SIM version, and generally most of these manufacturers just list the EU SAR values. But what Motorola has done is that they have listed the US SAR values, that is 1.5 SAR, and that will look a little bit high because most of the manufacturers are just listing the EU SAR rating, and the values of EU SAR ratings and the US SAR ratings are a lot different. For, if I recall, the EU SAR rating for Moto E is 0.79 or about 0.8. So that is definitely within the safe ranges of dual SIM Android phones. So if you check any of the other dual SIM Android phones, you will have the same SAR values. And according to India, SAR values under 2 are safe. This is by Dushyant Yadav. Sir, which one do you prefer, Mac OS X or Windows OS? I personally I prefer Mac OS X. I used to use Windows earlier also, and just about 2 months ago I completely moved from Windows 8 to Mac OS because for my work, again I say for my work, I felt that the Mac OS is much more useful, reliable, and the tools and the softwares that I use on are better on Mac. So personal opinion, I would say, again, the type of OS depends on the work you have. For example, you might have some specific software that only works on a Windows computer. Then you have to go with Windows. Both these OSs are pretty stable, I would say, at this age. But personally speaking, I prefer the Mac OS X because the softwares that I use for my daily work, etc., are much more optimized, and it gets the job done for me. So Mac OS X for me. Naran Pai, sir, what are your views on the Galaxy S5 Prime that will be packed with Snapdragon 805? Yes, supposedly the Galaxy S5 Prime, or it might also be called this new Samsung Galaxy, what do you say, F range or something like that. Samsung hasn't hinted what will be the name, but yes, we are going to hopefully get a powerful variant of this Galaxy S5 that will have the Snapdragon 805. I have already talked about this in the new show that I started, weekly tech show, and yes, it's going to be a much more powerful device because it has the Snapdragon 805. It'll have the new GPU, that's the Adreno 420. But I don't like the fact that a manufacturer, just after launching a flagship like S5, just after 4-5 months, are launching a premium product of that. So that's my opinion, but yes, definitely we might see it. It might be called the Prime or the new S5F or something, rumors, according to the rumors. So we'll definitely know by next month or so what is the product, and I hope that if they launch it in India, they release the Snapdragon version, not the Exynos version again. So that's Keeping my fingers crossed. This is by Dushyant sir. Suggestions about Android phone around 15,000 with KitKat. As of now, I would say Moto G. This is by Kiran sir. I'm using the Samsung Galaxy Grand 2. Charging is so slow. Can I use a 2 or 1.5 amp charger on this device for fast charging? Uh, as far as I recall, I also, when I had this Galaxy Grand 2, it does not support the quick charging. I generally charge all my phones and devices with 1.5 or a 2 amp charger. I generally don't use the chargers that we get in the box. And even with the high amp charger, sadly, the Galaxy Grand 2 was not charging fast because it just does not have that quick charging support. So I hope that answers your question. Now, next, let's move to this next question. This is by Rajesh. Let me drink some water, guys. Dear Ranjit sir, I really enjoyed your videos. Thank you, Rajesh. I'm planning to buy the HTC Desire 816. Let me know if it's a good buy for around 24,000. I stay in Bangalore, but so far I'm not able to buy it because many stores say no stock. Yes, Rajesh, this Desire 816 is a pretty good device. If you're looking for a phablet size device, you can check out my in-depth review I've already done for that. And I would say it's a very good phone for that price. Yes, lately I also checked some local stores and they said that HTC is having some stock issues. I think so. HTC never anticipated that there'll be such a big demand for the Desire 816. Hence, at many places it's out of stock, and hence actually I got my Desire 816 when I purchased it for 22,500, but now because the stocks are less, I'm seeing it listed on online sites for about 26,000 or so. So don't buy at that haggy price. It's just the stock issues as of now, and definitely when we'll have stocks, it should be available for about around 23,000 or so. This is by Manav. This is a camera-related question. Again, excellent Q&A. Getting a breadth of questions, not just smartphone. This is about camera. So this is by Manav. Hello, sir. I love your videos. Thank you, Manav. My question is, I want to buy a DSLR. My needs are good video and photography. My budget is around 70,000. Should I buy a Canon or Nikon? Regarding Nikon and Canon, I would say in terms of image quality, both of them actually produce similar quality. So I would suggest go to a local store, handle both the Canon device or a Nikon device and see which is more comfortable to you. And also check out the menu and the layout. Personally, I prefer Canon because I find what do you say, the menus, etc., layout, etc., a lot more easier on the Canon devices. And I have been using Canon DSLRs and I like it. So at 70,000 price, you can definitely have a look, and you should be able to get, I don't think so you'll get the Canon 70D, but you can get this 700D around that price with the good lens. If this is your first camera for the kit lens, you can get the 18 to I think so 135mm lens in that price range. So check out again. I would say between the Canon and Nikon, go to a store, physically handle both the cameras, see which one do you like more, because it's a personal preference. Image quality, I would say both are very neutral. In video, Canon has some advantages, I would say. For example, on the higher end cameras, they do give some free software. But again, decide between Canon and Nikon. I would say go to a physical store, handle the devices, and see which is better for you. Both of them are almost at par in terms of the image quality. This is by Vatsal Shah. Which is the best camera around rupees 5 to 6,000? Sorry, Vatsal, at that low price point, I haven't tested any camera. Last year, I did test a Sony camera. I'm forgetting the budget. It was just 8,000 rupees or so. But the image quality of that Sony camera was so rubbish. So I would say that if you want a decent point-and-shoot camera, invest a little bit more, because The camera at these price points, generally what I've noticed, they have a lot of shutter lag, and also if you just shake your hand a little bit, also the pictures come out to be really blurry, and what do you say, low lighting photography is not that good. So definitely, if I were you, I'll save up a little bit more and go for a little bit better models. This is by Preetham. Your views about Windows 8.1 and when will we get the official update for the Lumia 525? I think so, Preetham. You joined us late. I told you I've been having very positive views about Windows 8.1. Very good improvement. I would say it's a huge improvement, and Microsoft should have called it instead of 8.1, called it Windows 9. That huge upgrade it is, I would say. And yes, most of these Nokia Lumia phones will be getting the 8.1 update. If it's on Windows Phone 8 already, you should be getting the update by next month sometime. So let me just move to the next question. This is by Ravi Pandey. Sir, Nexus 5 or the Note 3 Neo, which one is better? My priorities are gaming and basic phone usage. And do you think the Note 3 Neo will get KitKat update? I'm not very sure if no. Yes, I think so. The Note 3 Neo should get KitKat update, but it's only up to Samsung. Samsung only knows the date when they'll release it. Now, as you have told, your priority is gaming. I would have said that if the gaming was not a higher priority, I would have said that go with the Note 3 Neo, because in terms of battery life, it's vastly superior to the Nexus 5. But if gaming is a priority, then definitely the Nexus 5 is much ahead compared to the Note 3 Neo. The simple fact is that the Note 3 Neo again has that Mali 6 series GPU, which with very high-end games is simply not that optimized. And you will notice some, what do you say, drop frames and jitteriness in gaming. Hence, as your requirement, you have told gaming is seriously important, then the Nexus 5 will be better. But again, do remember that the battery life on the Nexus 5 is simply not that great. So let me move to the next question. This is by Aman Chaudhary. LG G2 versus M8 on value of money basis, almost 10,000 rupees difference. Is there some considerable difference between Snapdragon 800 and 801? Yes, actually, if you see Snapdragon 800, that was found in the last generation phones. For example, Nexus 5 has that, LG G2 has that, and the new generation phones as of now, flagships. This HTC One M8 has Snapdragon 801, and the biggest advantage of Snapdragon 801 is it heats up a lot less compared to the Snapdragon 801. Hence, we get actually superior battery life. I would say the battery life is almost 30 to 40% improvement compared to the Snapdragon 800 chipset. Also, the GPU on the 801, though it's the same Adreno 330, it's clocked at a higher frequency. So even for gaming, it's much better. So definitely the Snapdragon 801 is the processor to go. It is much better. And definitely between the LG G2 and the HTC One M8, I would go with the HTC One M8. And I have to say, I tested a lot of phones. This HTC One M8 has to be one of the best Android smartphones that have been using till date. The only con is the camera is very average. And also it does not heat up that much like the LG G2 does. So I hope that answers your question. Let me move to the next question. This is by Nayar Malik. Will new version of Android and Nexus tablet will be launched at Google I/O? Yes, I think so. It will be launched. According to rumors, it's being going to be launched. Google I/O is just there. It's going to start tomorrow, 25th and 26th. It's going to happen, and definitely we should be seeing a new version of Android. And this time, I would say I'm 90 7% sure that we'll be seeing a 64-bit edition of Android. And yes, so generally when Google releases a major launch, something like that, they generally release a hardware also. And according to rumors, we'll be seeing a new Nexus tablet. Might be about 8 inches or 9 inches, I'm not sure. But definitely that. And we'll be seeing Android, new version of Android that will be 64-bit compatible. So let me just move to the next question. This is by Mansoor Patel. Again, some of you can help him out because I can't answer this because I'm not following the PC hardware these days. And he is asking us, please suggest me a good graphic card under rupees 10,000. So if you have any suggestions, please suggest us to Mansoor Patel. And let me just move to this is by Smaran HM. Hello, sir. I have bought a Note 3 octa-core version. That means it's a Exynos version that is sold in India. About 4 months ago, it was working fine, he says. But since 20 days, I'm facing the following problems. Lagging many times, display problems. I get multiple display in the same screen. What do you mean by multiple display? Lags with all HD games. I did a software reset, but again, I'm facing the same problem. Will it be a hardware problem? As Maran, you have already done a software reset. Looks like there is, as you're telling, you're having even display problems, etc. Looks like some hardware issues. As you are in your warranty, I would suggest that give it to Samsung Service Center and let them check it. So let me move to the next question. Sir, please suggest me a good smartphone. Requirements are large screen above 5 inches, average camera quality, fast multitasking, dual SIM below 20,000. KS Praveen, according to your requirements, I would say that now as the Samsung Galaxy Grand 2 is below 20,000, you can have a look at it. It does decent multitasking. As you tell, camera is not a high priority. I would say definitely have a look at that device. This is by Vijay. Hi sir, this is my first time. I want to know which is better, the Moto X or the Galaxy Note 3 Neo. I would say both are very complete different devices. First, decide what you want. A Moto X is a very compact phone, 4.7 inches screen, fits easily in your hand, single hand device I would call. Whereas the Galaxy Note 3 Neo is a phablet device, 5.5 inches. I would say, let me talk in battery life. Definitely the Galaxy Note 3 Neo is superior. In day-to-day performance, I would say both of these phones do perform similarly. Camera, I would say the Moto X has an edge because in low lighting, the Moto X does better. So decide what you want. And I would say the biggest advantage of this Galaxy Note series is that it has that S Pen. You can just take out and jot notes. So if you think that you're going to use the S Pen functionalities, go with the Note 3. But if you're not going to use those features of the Note 3 and you want a single hand device, then go with the Moto X. But the con with the Moto X is that battery life is very average. So you have to charge it almost every day. If you just forget to charge it one day, it will be dead next day. But on the other hand, with the Note 3 Neo, the battery life is pretty decent. If you forget to charge it one day, next day it will be there for a couple of hours. So decide what you want. This is by Saurabh Apte. I want to ask, did you get the 4.4.4 KitKat update on your Nexus 5, and what are the improvements that it will? No, Saurabh, sadly I did not get the 4.4.3, 4.4.4 KitKat update yet on my Nexus 5. It's still on 4.4.3. The update does not bring any new features. It is just a security update. It updates the, I think so, SSL on the device. So it's not a big upgrade that you'll add any new features or something. It's just a bug fix and a security update. Should get and I should get it in the next couple of days, I hope. But again, we might see the new next version of Android and Google I/O. So keeping my fingers crossed. This is by INSGS, and some of you can help. Hi, sir. I love your videos, and you inspired me to make videos. But I recorded a video, and I want to put it on YouTube, but it has a very noise and wind noise is annoying. So I want to record audio and mix it with my video. I'm in Windows, which is the best software available free. I haven't used any free video editing softwares on Windows, so I'm a little bit clueless. I had used the Sony Vegas Platinum or something when I was using Windows for video editing. So if any of you guys are using a free video editing software on Windows, do help out INDGS. This is by Chiman Ye. Sir, which internet provider are you using currently, and what is your plan and your speed and your router? Okay, too many questions. Okay, my ISP, it's a local ISP. It's not nationwide. It's in just Hyderabad city, I think so. And the name of the ISP is Beam Fiber. They provide internet via fiber optic lines. And I have a 50 megabit line, and yes, I do get that 50 Mbps speed. Actually, I do get around 55 megabit speeds, and I'm on this 50 megabit speed is not always, it's there up to 100 GB, and after I cross that 100 GB, then FUP kicks, and in FUP generally I get about 6 megabits, and that's again unlimited after that FUP is crossed. And regarding my router, I do change a lot of routers because I keep testing routers. Currently, I'm using this Linksys WRT 1900 AC router. It's not launched in India. It's a pretty high-end router. So I hope that helps you. This is by Muran Patel. I do get this question a lot. Hi Ranjit, which camera are you using to make YouTube videos? Actually, I don't use a single camera. I use a lot of cameras. I use Canon DSLRs. I use Sony camcorders also, and sometimes I also use the Sony NEX mirrorless camera. And for these live chats, I'm using a webcam by Logitech. That is the C920. Sometimes I even use this Nexus 5 as my secondary camera. You guys won't believe it, but the camera on this Nexus 5, particularly for video, is very good. So let me just end this session. It's over 40 minutes, guys. I'm continuously getting questions again and again and again. I'll just take one or two questions. This is by Pratik Apte. Does the Mac Mini require a normal laptop RAM, or it requires a special RAM? No, Pratik Apte, the RAM on the Mac Mini is a normal laptop RAM, but it is just clocked at, I don't recall, it's clocked at 1600 megahertz instead of the standard 1333 megahertz. But it's a standard laptop RAM, nothing special. And actually, I did upgrade the RAM on my Mac Mini. By default, Apple, when you buy it from Apple, you just get it with 4 GB of RAM. But I have added 8 more GB of RAM on it. So I'll be ending this session because it's over 40 minutes, guys. Again, thank you for joining me on this live session, and I hope that I was able to help some of you guys. And we'll be doing this again next Tuesday, that is on 1st of July at 7 p.m. India time. And I hope that you'll be able to join me. Thank you. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video.